back everyone to part 12 of our Smart Enemy AI series. In this part, we're going to be setting up our team system. So right now I have all these enemies in team number 1, as you can see here, and I'm also team number 1 as a player. So none of them will be attacking me because we're on the same team. Now, if I change this guy to be team number 2, then he's going to try to attack me, and as soon as they see him, they're all going to try to attack him. So we're not only going to be looking at how to get enemies to perceive people on their team or not on their team, but we're also going to make sure that the melee enemy and ranged enemy can't damage people that are not that are on their same team. So we're pretty much disabling friendly fire. So let's get started. All right. So before we start with setting up our team system, I want to fix something annoying, which is when you have multiple melee enemies and you attack them, they all block at the same time. This is quite annoying because they detect when their attack target is attacking. They don't detect if they're the ones being attacked or if the attack is actually going to hit them or not. So we're going to modify the block behavior to make the group enemy combat look a bit more realistic. So let's start by doing that. So first thing we need is in our AI folder, behavior trees in our melee enemy tree. We're going to delete our, where is it? Our block branch. So this one. So we check if the target's attacking and then we do a block. I'm going to delete this branch completely, okay? We're not going to handle the block functionality now in the behavior tree. Why is that? Because I want the melee enemy to block as soon as they take damage. And that means we're going to handle it in the take damage function. So let's see how we can do that. Let's now open up our enemies, our melee enemy. All right. And where we... So over here, this is where we do our blocking, right? I'm going to keep these functions. So the start block, on block, then end block, we're still going to use them, but we're going to modify them a bit. But what we actually want to do is override the take damage function. So we have take damage here that's implemented in the base enemy. And in the base enemy, all it does, so take damage, all it does is call take damage from the damage system, from the damage system component. Now, the nice thing about using a actor component is that we can keep this function call, but do things before or after it in our melee enemy. So I'm going to go back to the melee enemy and double click on my damage take damage function. Now I've overridden this function. So it's now not under interfaces, but under functions. That means I'm overriding whatever base implementation was already there. And I'm going to just paste the take damage function from the BPC damage system as is. Plug everything in like it was. But now, right before I call take damage, I'm going to try to block. And I say try because I'm going to have it be a percentage. So there's a chance that the melee enemy will block. So let's create a function, a new function here, and call it try to block. All right. And this function will call start block. But it won't always call it. It will call it under a condition, right? So we're going to put a branch here. And this condition is if we generate a random float. So let's say random float. This will give you a random number between 0 and 1. And we're going to check, is this number greater than or equal? If we say, for example, greater than or equal 0.1, then there is a 90% chance that the... actually, let's make it less than or equal. I'll show you why. So if we say if it's less than or equal 0.9, that means there's a 90% chance that the enemy will block. If it's less than or equal 0.3, there's a 30% chance the enemy will block, and so on. So I'm going to make it 0.25, so 25% chance block. And I'm actually going to promote it to a variable and call it block chance. All right, and this will be the condition to our try to block function. So that's really it. Checks if we have a chance to block, and if so, we call start block. And if you recall, start block stops movement, sets is blocking to true. This is the most important thing, and does some other things. We'll look at it in a bit. But over here in our take damage function, we want to call our try to block. All right. But there is also one condition we want to add here. If you recall, not all attacks can be blocked. So we have attacks that are blockable and attacks that are not. And this is in the damage info. So if I pull off damage info and say break here, I will have can be blocked. So I'm going to first check if can be blocked is true, because I don't want to try to block if I know this attack can't be blocked. That's kind of useless. And by the way, if I click here and say hide unconnected pins, then it's going to make this a bit cleaner and only show the pin that I connected. All right, so now I check if this attack can be blocked, then I try to block, otherwise I continue. And also on the false, I'm going to just skip the try block and go right to take damage, because if the attack can't be blocked, then I just want to continue and not try to block. All right, let me just clean these up a bit because of my OCD. All right, looks better. Great. So now, before we take damage, we try to block. Now let's modify our start block a bit. If you recall, we used to play a montage. This is the montage where the enemy first takes the block stance, and then if they successfully block, we play another montage, which is the one where they actually do the moving back a bit with their sword. So we don't need this montage anymore, because the time between starting to block and actually blocking or not is the time it takes for this branch to go from here to here. So it's pretty much instantly. So this montage will never get the chance to play. So we're going to remove it, and we're going to remove all of this as well. But actually, let's keep end block, because we still want to end block if something happens. What do I mean by if something happens? Well, in the normal flow, we're going to try to block. If we are successful, we're going to block the damage, and then on blocked will be called, and then end block will be called after the montage is finished, right? But something could happen where we try to block, which we set is blocking to true, but we don't actually take the damage. So in that case, we need a way to end block as well. So I'm going to set a timer. So I'm going to go over here and say set timer by event. And this event will be, say, create event, and it will be end block. Actually, we don't need this then, because I'm calling it as an event. And we're going to say after maybe 2 seconds. So if you are blocking, if you start to block, 2 seconds later, end the block. And we're going to create a timer, a variable for this timer. We're going to call it the hold block timer. And if we call end block before this timer ends, we want to stop the timer, because we don't want to call end block twice, right? So over here in the end block, well, actually, no, not if we end block, if we block successfully. So right here, before doing this, we want to get a reference to our timer and say clear and invalidate timer by handle. So that if we block successfully, then ignore this timer, clear it. We don't need to block anymore. And also, we need to do the same thing when we start blocking. If there's already a timer running, delete that timer, because we're going to be creating a new one. So I'm going to move all of these, this one to this one, and paste this here. So now we clear the timer when we start to block as well. Excellent. Now let's take a look at, let's test this out and see what it looks like. All right, so now I have multiple enemies. All right, he did not block. He did not block. We have a 25% chance, remember. But as you can see now, they're not all gonna block. Oh, that he blocked. Nice. Let me increase it to this block chance here. Let me increase it to 100. So 1. That means they'll always block, just to see how it works. So this guy, nice. And you see only the one that was attacked is the one that's blocking. Very nice. Let me show you one last time. Very nice. All right, I think this looks a lot better than what we had before. And now we can jump into our team system. All right, so the first thing we need to do is, let me close the melee here. First thing we need to do is we're going to modify our damageable interface. So in our damage system, BPI damageable. And we're going to add a function here. We're going to call it get team number. So we're going to have teams assigned by number. So there's team 1, team 2, team 3, and so on. So you can have as many teams as you want. And of course, enemies with the same number are on the same team, or even the player can be the same number as an enemy. And it's just going to return the team number, which is going to be an integer. All right, so this is in the damageable interface. So there are two actors that implement this interface now, our player and our base enemy. So if I go to my player here, I should see the get team number, and it just wants me to return a number. Now I'm not going to set it here. I'm going to create a new variable for it and call it team number, integer, and we're gonna plug it in here. Compile to add a default value, and let's say the player defaults to 1. And we're gonna do the same thing, the base enemy. Gets our get team number, where is it? So many functions, okay. And you can also right-click, promote the variable, and call it team number. And for the enemy, let's default to team number 2. And also one thing to note for the enemy, make sure to click on this eye icon and say also, you don't have to say expose on spawn, but let's do it. So instance editable and expose on spawn, because that way you can click here and search for team number. Team, did I not compile? I did not compile. Now I can search for team number and I can change it. So I can say this guy is team 3, this guy is team 2, for example. You get the idea. All right, so now we have a way to assign team numbers. Now what do we need to check? Where do we need to call this get team number? Well, it's going to be in a few places. But first one is in our enemy AI controller, because this is where we have our senses, right? So when you sense sight, we want to check, did I see a team member or did I see an enemy? When you sense damage, you want to see, was I damaged by a team member or was I damaged by a non-team member? So to check if we're on the same team as someone or not, we're going to create a function here, and we're going to call it on same team, and it takes an input, the other actor that we're checking. So other actor of type actor, object reference, and it returns a Boolean value, same team, yes or no, or true or false. So since we added the get team number as a interface, then we can call it as an interface function, and we can call it without casting, of course. So we can say get team number. So now we're getting the team number of the actor that we just sensed, or the other actor. And we're also going to get team number of our self, of the person, the pawn that this controller is controlling. So to do that, you can say get controlled pawn. This gets you the pawn that this AI controller is controlling, and call get team number on that. All right, and they are the same team if these two numbers are equal. So if this number equals this number, then same team is true. Otherwise, of course, it's false. All right, so let's look at our handle sense sight. So here, we don't need this because this we were checking if the player is, if the person we sensed is a player. We're going to delete all of this because now we're going to do a new check. We're going to check is, what's it called, on same team. So we're going to check if this other actor, we can get it from here. If this other actor is on the same team, and if not, so if they're not on the same team, let me move this. So create a branch. If they are not on the same team, then we will continue. And if they are on the same team, we're not going to do anything. I just saw someone on my same team. Don't have to do anything about it. All right. And that's, oh, sorry. And that's it for the sensed sight. Sense sound, we're going to keep the same because you don't know if the sound is coming from your team member or not. You just hear a sound, you're going to go investigate, even if it's coming from a team member. Damage, though, is an interesting one because after this, we're going to make sure that actors on your same team can't damage you, but sometimes there's an explosion, for example, that damages everyone. So we don't want anything to happen if you sense damage from a team member. So we're also going to check here if on same team, this function we created, pass our actor here. And again, only if we are not on the same team. And plug this in. Of course, you don't have to do the not. You can also plug in on the false, but I feel like this is easier to read. On same team, not, then do this. I like reading this a bit better. All right. Anywhere else that we need to handle this? No, I think this is good for now. Let's see how this looks like. So obviously right now, they are all on the same team by default. So if I just play somewhere here behind them where they don't see me, they shouldn't be attacking each other. Why are they attacking? He's team number 2. He's team... Oh, he's team number 3. Okay, so actually it was working. But yeah, let's make them all the same team. Let me just start by 2 to make sure we don't have any weird behavior. So he's team 2 and he's team 2. Right? If I'm going to play from here, they're not going to do anything. Of course, if they see me, now they're going to attack me because I'm team number 1. And now if I change this guy to team number 1 as well, and I play from here, then they start attacking each other. Great. Also because I'm team number 1, if I have only one enemy, so if I remove this guy is now team number 1 like me, and he sees me, he's not going to do anything. And if I damage him, he's just not going to be happy about it, but he's not going to do anything. And by the way, we can still block even though he doesn't have a sword. Maybe we should check first if he has a weapon equipped or not. But anyway, the team functionality is working now. So if I have 2 enemies here and 2 enemies here, and let's make them different teams and watch them fight each other. So this guy is going to be team 3, this guy is going to be team 3, and these are both team 2 and 2. All right, let me go behind them so they don't see me. Excellent. Now they'll all be attacking each other. Great. Yes, seems to be working. Now let's make sure that enemies on the same team can't damage each other. And why is this important? Because right now, if I look at my melee enemy, so if I open up my BP enemy melee here, you can see in my attack, I do a sphere trace. And as soon as this sphere trace hits something, I call take damage on this actor that we hit. I don't check if this actor is on the same team or not. So that means if I'm standing between one of my team members and an enemy, I'm the one taking damage. And it's not enough here to just say, if we're on the same team, then don't take damage, because then the person behind me should take the damage. Like if I'm standing between these 2 enemies right here, and this enemy is trying to attack this one, then he should still be able to attack him even if I'm in between them. This means that we can't do a single sphere trace. We have to check, did the sphere trace hit a team member? No? Then do another sphere trace and check if it hits another one that's not a team member. Luckily, we don't have to keep doing multiple sphere traces ourselves. There's something called a multi-sphere trace. And it does the same thing as a sphere trace, but instead it gets you a list of everything that it hit. So then we're going to do a trace. We're going to get all of the actors that were hit in this trace and check which one is not a team member and damage that one. Because of course, a sword swing can damage multiple enemies, not just one. So this is really important. So let's replace this sphere trace with a multi-sphere trace. Now everything is going to pretty much be the same, so you can take this pin here, the start's going to still be the start, end's going to be the end, radius is going to be also 20, object types, take it from here, and also this execution pin goes here, this goes here, and now this is the only thing that's going to be different, right? So now instead of having one hit structure, we have an array of hits. So we're going to loop over this array. So do a for each loop, and only if there is a hit. So under the true here, do a for each, and then plug this here. All right. So if I do this, something weird is going to happen, and let me show you before we do anything first. Let me start by deleting all these enemies and have, oh, I deleted the floor, and have one enemy. So just for you to be aware, I'm going to set the damage to 10. So the enemy can only do 10 damage. But look at what happens when I play. Obviously my health is 100, so I should only take 10 damage, but I took a lot more than 10. I think my health is 50 actually, but I took a lot more than 10. And the reason is multi-sphere trace can overlap with the same actor multiple times. So if I print here, let's say print this actor, look at what's being printed on the top left here. Player was printed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like about 8 or 9 times. So before actually calling take damage or checking if we're on the same team or not, we want to check have we previously hit this actor or not, because we want to make sure we only hit the actor once per sword swing. We don't want to hit the same actor multiple times. So we need two things to check, whether we hit this actor or not and whether they're on the same team or not. So I'm going to create a function for this, but I'm going to create it in our BPC attacks. So this is our attacks actor component. So right click here and edit BPC attacks. And I'm going to create a function, call it damage all non-team members. And this will take as input the hits array. So this array here, because we want to loop over it. So I was going to take a hits, and it's going to be of type hit result. And then make sure next to the hit result, click on this and make it an array. So it's going to take this, and it's going to return the actors damaged. And this is going to be of type actor, and is also going to be an array because it's the array of actors that were damaged. All right. So first thing is we need to loop over these hit results, and then we're going to break each hit result and get the actor from it, and check get team number of this actor. So first we want to check, is this actor on my same team or not? So to get my same team, notice that we are in the BPC attacks. So to get the owner, we say get owner, the actor that is using this actor component. And we're going to call get team number. So we're going to check again if they are equal or not. So not equal. So if they are not equal, then this person is on a different team, right? So then we will proceed by damaging them. So plug this here, branch. So we're gonna again get this actor and call take damage. All right. Now the damage causer is also get owner. But what's the damage info? Well, we want to also make this an input to the function. So the function will provide this. So you can drag off this pin here and drop it to make it a input here, damage info. All right. So now we handled the check if we're damaging someone on the same team or not. But what about damaging someone we've already damaged before? So to do that, we're going to create, as soon as we damage someone, we're going to put them into an array and then check the next time if they're in this array or not. So we're going to create a local variable. Local means it's scoped to this function. It's not used outside this function, so it keeps it cleaner. And it's we're going to call it currently damaged actors, or actors damaged so far. All right, and this is going to be of type actor, object reference, and also make sure over here to click this, make it an array. So as soon as we damage an actor, we're going to get this array of actors damaged so far, and we're going to say add unique. Make sure not to do add, but add unique, because if we encounter the same actor again, we don't want to add them a second time. And the actor will be this actor here from our hit actor. All right. So, oops. So then we add to this array the actor that we just damaged. But then before actually damaging them, we need to check, are they already in this array, which means that we damaged them before. So we can check it somewhere here. So in this condition, if they're not on the same team and we didn't damage them before. So to check if we didn't damage them before, we get this array and say contain items. So again, sorry, if we say contains item, and the item is our actor here. Just make a redirect node here. So if this array contains this item, not, then we continue, right? So if the array doesn't contain this item, which means we haven't damaged this actor before. And let's make an AND Boolean here to put both of these. And this is now our new condition. So our condition is we are not on the same team and we haven't damaged them before, then proceed to damage them and add them to the array of damaged actors. And at the very end, we want to return the actors damaged. Don't plug this in here because this is, again, on the loop body. We want this to be when the loop has completed. So off of completed here. And let me also just make this a bit straight. What do we want to return? We want to return our actors damaged so far because we completed the loop. So these are all the actors that we've damaged. And that's it. So this function will now damage all of the actors in this array, but let's see how we can use it. So we don't need this loop, we don't need this, and we don't need the take damage. Now all we need to do is off of our BPC attacks, say damage all non-team members. And we're going to pass the array of hits from here. Oops. And the damage info will be this. And then you can do something with the actors that you've damaged if you want. For now, I'm not going to do anything. But let's see how this looks like now. If I print, well, actually, okay, let me loop over all of them. So for each, and let me print. So we're going to print each actor that we damaged. And now I should only see my name being printed once. Yes, perfectly. And I took 10 damage. And yes, my health was indeed 50. So now I'm getting damaged only once. Now let's see, let's make sure that multiple enemies can be damaged as well. So I am going to create another enemy here. And I'm going to make him on my same team. So on team 1. And I'm going to stand in between them and make sure that we both get damaged. Come on, attack. Yeah. Yeah, we both got damaged. So I got hit and he got hit from one sword swing. Perfect. Oh, and I should not be getting hit from the one that's on my team. So let them hit each other once first. Yeah, so we both got damaged, but this guy shouldn't be damaging me, right? So he should only damage the other actor. So try to hit. Perfect. Yes, he didn't damage me. Nice. So this is working as expected. Let me remove the print now. Now we need to handle also the ranged enemies attacks. So and this is we do it here in our BPC attacks. We have this fire bullet. So fire bullet also does a single line trace from the ranged enemy to their target. And if it hits something, it calls take damage on that something as well. So here we want to do the same thing. We want to check if we're on the same team or not. But we don't want to damage everyone because, well, maybe you do. Maybe you want the bullet to be able to go through multiple enemies. So it hits the first enemy, the second one, and so on in the line. But what I wanted to do is actually, so if let me get a ranged enemy here. So if this ranged enemy is targeting this melee enemy, but this one is in the way. If this one is in the way and they're a team member, I want the attack to go through the team member. So this one is targeting that one, and this one is a team member of the ranged enemy. I want the bullet to go through the team member. But if this one is an enemy, and even though this ranged enemy is targeting this one, but it hits another enemy while on the way to their original target, I want the one in the middle to be hit, because it's more realistic. If you're firing a bullet at someone, but it hits someone else, then they're the ones that take damage. Unless they're on the same team. This is, of course, where the unrealism of games comes into play. We'll have the bullet just go straight through team members. So we are also going to need a multi-sphere trace, for multi-line trace for this. So this line trace, we're going to replace it with a multi-line trace for objects as well. All right, and plug in almost everything as well. The start to the start, end to the end, object types, and anything else. Plug this here and this condition. All right. Yeah. And also we want to, I'm not sure why don't we have this actors to ignore. We want to make array and ignore the owner. So we never hit ourselves. That's important. All right, so now that we have this, we are going to replace the take damage as well by something else. This time, we're not going to call damage all non-team members because, like I said, I don't want the bullet to go through all non-team members and damage them. Maybe this is what you want. But I'm going to create a new function and call it damage first non-team member. So the first non-team member you encounter, damage them, and then ignore all the rest. So this also takes an array of hits. Hit, no, not get, hit. And it returns a single damaged actor because we're only damaging one actor. So actor, object reference, and make sure to change this from array back to single. And it's also going to take the damage info. Damage info, which is a damage info struct. All right. So this time we're going to do a for each loop, but make sure to choose for each with break. For each with break gives you this additional break execution pin, which if you enter this pin, you stop the loop, you break from the loop. Because once we encounter our first non-team member, we want to break from the loop. We don't want to keep looping. So we're going to loop over all of these hits. We're going to break the hit result. This is a different break than this one. And we're going to get the team number of this actor. And we are going to get our owner. So this is the ranged enemy or whomever is calling fire bullet. And get team number of the owner as well. And check. If this is not equal to this, bloop, a bit here. If this is not equal to this, then we are going to call take damage on this actor. And the damage info will be this damage info, and the damage causer will be get owner. And then once this condition is true, we're going to break. So pull off of here and put it in the break. And also let's clean it up a bit. Yep. All right. And then we want to return the damaged actor. Oh, if you want to return, actually, then we need to do something. Before we break, we need to call a sequence because we're going to do two things. First, we're going to break. Well, first we're going to break, then we're going to return. because you can't do anything after the return. So first you have to break and then return. And in blueprints, returning doesn't automatically break from the loop. If you return, the loop will still continue. And this is our actor. All right, so we check if they're not on the team. We loop over all of the hits. We check the first one that's not a team member, call take damage on them, and then break from the loop. We don't want to loop anymore, and return this actor. So back here in our event graph, then we'll call damage first non-team member, pass in the array of hits, pass in the damage info from here. And we are doing a report damage event here, which requires a damaged actor. That's why we returned it. So we can just plug this damaged actor here. And of course, this is pretty much all we need. Let's draw the debug so that we see what's happening. And let me show you how this works. So I'm going to delete this enemy, and I'm going to make sure these two are on the same team. So this is team 2, and this is team 2. And I'm going to try to stand behind him. So bullets went right through him. So you see there are hits, but they're all red. So the bullet went right through him. Again, I'm going to show you. Now this time it didn't hit him. I wasn't standing correctly. All right, stand, come on, come on. Yes, do it, hit. Yes, perfect. So it goes right through him and hits me. Now, if he was an enemy, so I'm going to make sure he's an enemy now, but they're both going to be attacking me. So this guy is team 2, and this guy is team, I don't know, 3. So we're all now enemies of each other. We're all on different teams. But I'm going to make them both see me first so that they attack me instead of each other. All right. So now if I stand between him, come on, come on, come on, shoot. He's the one that got damaged, see? And he blocked. All right, and now I noticed that the melee enemy is always blocking, and I think we forgot to return the block chance. Yeah, so the block chance is 1, they'll always be blocking. Let's put it back to 0.25 like it was. All right, and let's also do a sort of a multi-enemy battle here to see. So we're going to have, let's say, melee enemies all on the same team. Team 2, Team 2, Team 2 versus ranged enemies all on Team 3. And let me stand behind them so they don't see me. And let's see what this looks like. Nice. So they're all going to be... Oh, the melee enemy is still pretty good at blocking. Is it still at 100? No, no. Okay, he's getting hit. Okay, nice. Looks really cool. As you can see, we have 2 melee enemies, or actually all 3 are attacking the same target. Maybe because they saw this target first. One thing we can do to modify our targeting system is to make sure that, let's say, if the enemy attacks a target and this target already has someone attacking him by, let's say, they don't have any tokens, then they can try to switch to other targets. Now we haven't really done anything with targeting so far, so maybe we'll be touching on targeting systems in the next tutorial. All right, sorry, one last thing before we close. I noticed a bug that if this enemy is now on my same team, but if I damaged him and he doesn't block, he's going to try to attack me, and then his attacks won't do anything because we're on the same team. But why did he try to attack me even though we're on the same team? I noticed that, well, we handled the sense damage, and if you sense damage, you don't attack, but we didn't handle in our base enemy on the hit response. On the hit response here, we passed the damage causer if there is no last known attack target. If there is a last known attack target, they'll use that one. But otherwise, they'll use, or actually, it's the other way around. So attack target, if there is no last known attack target, yeah, indeed, they'll use the this new attack target. So we need to change this to also check, is this attack target on your same team or not? Otherwise, don't do anything. So we're gonna add another check here. Let's get from this attack causer, let's get the team number. And let's control drag all of these here. And we are gonna check if the get team number is equal to my own team. So I'm going to say get team number. Make sure to call this one. The function call that's on target is enemy base, because this is our own get team number. Or actually, you don't need to call get team number. You can just get the team number variable here. So if this get team number is not equal to this get team number, then proceed as you would. Whoops, sorry, we need a branch here. All right. But what if it is equal? So what if I am on the same team? Well, if I'm on the same team, I still want to, why didn't it be straight? I still want to call set state as attacking, but this time I don't want to pass an attack target. I only want to pass the use last known target. So actually, instead of a branch, we can do a select node. That would be a bit better. So here, do a select on this Boolean value. So if we're not on the same team, then just pass in this. And on the false, you don't pass anything. So if we are on the same team, then don't pass anything and keep use last known attack target. And by the way, if last known attack target and attack target are both not valid, then the enemy won't do anything. So let's test this out. Now I damage him. He doesn't do anything because, hey, he's my team member. What am I going to do? Nice. And that's it. As always, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this part, and if you did, please consider giving a like and subscribe. And if you want to download the full project files, then consider joining my Patreon, where you can also join for a free 7-day trial and download everything. If you want to do that, then you can find the link in the description as well as right here. And I haven't decided yet what to do for the next part, so if you have any suggestions or if you want to learn something specific, then please leave it in the comments below and I'll see you there.